Hello and welcome back to part 2 of 22.5, solving nonlinear systems of equations. So here it's asking us to solve a system of equations graphically using these two equations, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to actually use Desmos.com to kind of figure out what our values would be for our table. So let's go ahead and I'm going to exit out of the PowerPoint. And I'm actually going to open up an internet browser, much like you see here, and I included Desmos.com here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start graphing and try and minimize both of these so you can kind of see them on the same page. You will see that we have an equation. It's on your paper as well. So we're going to write in for a table of values. We'll write in, we're going to keep this as x and that is y. Y equals, I'm going to copy this one down, parentheses, x plus 2. If you're wondering, how do I square stuff? Because I typed this in. There's actually a table here we can use. So squaring plus 1. Okay, we can use that. And let's put some values in. Why not? So we can use like -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, and if I press enter, it just kind of starts entering that in for me. I'm also going to put in here, instead of y equals, maybe just the part that comes after the y equals. And as you can see here, it starts to kind of create some points for us, right? So -3, 2, -2, 1, -1, 2, 0, 5. Some of these numbers do get a little bit bigger than our graph that's actually on our page. Our graph only goes up to about 7. So maybe write in -4, -5, and you can kind of see that it's already starting to form this kind of parabola shape. So we can record those here. -3, 2, -2, 1, -1, 2, 0, 5, -4, 5, and -5, 10. Alright, so on here we can go ahead and see that that would graph. Let's go ahead and put in our other equation, which would be x plus 3. Ooh, and that gives me an entirely different table of values. So we can go ahead and jot those in. -3, 0. -2, 1. -1, 2. 0, 3. -4, -1. -5, 2. And we can plot these out. In fact, why not have them side by side so we can see what they look like? So I'm going to put down parentheses, x plus 2, parentheses, squared plus 1. So as you can see, they kind of overlap a little bit here and here. So those would be our two solutions. And let's go ahead and see what that looks like as a graph. I kind of recorded some of those values down for number 1, but we can see what the finished product looks like here. Oh, that's a little bit too big. So you do see that they do cross here at negative 2, 1. And they do also cross at negative 1, 2. So those would be solutions for our problem. Let's go on to number 2. We'll kind of use that same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize the screen. And keep those in mind. Let's pull up our internet browser. And let's go ahead and change up our equations. So that's parentheses x minus 4. Okay. And then for our other equation, which is x minus 4 squared. So let's go ahead and put that in. And then for our next equation, let's go ahead and erase that and write instead x minus 4. And as you can see here in our table of values, some of these values don't always work for both. So I'm going to kind of limit those so that maybe negative 3, try negative 2, negative 1, 1, or 0. Let's try 1. Let's try 2. Let's try 3. And 4. And 5. And 6. And 7. And as you can see, my points are starting to kind of line up. In fact, if I wanted to even further draw an actual graph of these, I can do y equals parentheses x minus 4 parentheses squared. So I see that parabola now a little bit more distinctly. And I can also write in y equals x minus 4. So I can kind of see that line a little bit more distinctly as well. So this is just a tool you can use so you can see it visually, but do record that they do have two solutions and that we do have a graph onto your paper here. Okay, and we'll pause here for now. Alright, so for number 3, we're given two different equations. Here we're given y equals x plus 1 squared minus 5. So again, I'll go back here and go ahead and put in my new equation of parentheses. Let me go ahead and erase my old one. And write parentheses x plus 1 parentheses squared minus 5. So I'm just copying down the first one, and I'll go ahead and also change my equation as well. Plus 1 squared minus 5, and that's my new parabola. And then my equation for the second one would be 2x, and again I'll do the same thing here. So my 2x, so you can see that they do cross, and we'll go ahead and again record some of these table of values that you see here and graph it onto your piece of paper. You do see they do cross, once at 2, 4, and another at negative 2, negative 4. Alright, on the final part of our lesson, we will be going over how to solve equations. So we did this first one, we did this second one, and we also did this third one. So we did 3 problems. We graphed that out using Desmos. Make sure you're recording it on your page for numbers 3, 2, and of course 1. Alright. On the next video we will be starting off on how we will solve, not by graphing, but by solving systems of linear equations algebraically.